Welcome to the Lemons and Pineapples podcast. I'm your host, Emma O'Brien, personal development coach, HeartMath practitioner, dog photographer, and entrepreneur. In this podcast, I share tools, strategies, and amazing guest interviews to help you improve your mindset and your well-being with a sprinkle of fun and probably some mention of dogs along the way. So without further ado, let's squeeze the day. Hi, folks. Welcome to episode 33 of the podcast. And it is the first episode of the new year. And in this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 powerful questions to help you make the most of 2024. Before we dive into that, I just want to share a little bit about 2023, which was for me the year of ennui. And this is a phrase I wasn't familiar with until I'd managed to push through Women Who Run with the Wolves. I've had that book for ages, and I decided at the beginning of December to pick it up and actually make the effort to read it. It is a bit of a tough read if anyone's tried it. This was my second attempt. There were quite a few utterances of me whilst reading of Clarissa, please stop waffling, because she does a bit. But anyway, probably not dissimilar to what happens on the podcast here. And there's a section in the book where she is describing what life is like when you are in the process of knowing there is a change coming, that you need to make a change in order to be more aligned with your purpose and finding meaning in life, and the gap between that and actually realizing those changes. And I'll read the paragraph to you because it puts it into great perspective. And she says, this period of time is sometimes characterized by an ennui. Women will often say their mood is such that they cannot quite put their finger on what it is they want, whether it be work, lover, time, or creative work. It's hard to concentrate. It's hard to be productive. This nerve restlessness is typical of the spiritual development stage. Time alone, and not very far down the road, will take us to the edge. We need fall, step, or dive over. And this resonated a little bit like a sonic boom for me when I read this. And I thought, oh, thank goodness, I haven't lost my mind. I've been in a period of ennui for the best part of a year. And this has come to probably not unexpectedly after a 2022, which really shook me to my core in terms of giving me a reality check as to where I was putting my time, where I was putting my priorities. If you've been listening to the podcast, you'll know that my stepmom died in 2022. And thankfully, I was able to see her in February of 2022. That was the first time I saw her in 3 years, and it was the last time I saw her, because I hadn't been back to see my family since 2018, because 2019 came around and I was hustling and working hard, and I had my priorities in financial goals and external success, and I was too busy to be able to go to the UK and see my family. And I told myself, I'll go next year. We all know what happened the next year. And I think that loss brought for me into very sharp focus that you can hustle all you want, you can earn all the money that you want, but one thing you can't buy back is time with people that are important. And it really, really redirected everything for me. And I think with that in mind, I started to have a look at where my priorities were. I started to have a look, am I doing what I really want to be doing? What is it I'd like to be doing? How can I shift my business and my life so that I am actually able to spend time with my family and the people that are important to me? Because it was a very sharp reminder that we can't get time back. And I'm very fortunate, time of recording this, to have both my parents. They're in the UK, but I have both my parents are alive. And for me, the focus has been now to make sure I spend plenty of time with them. I don't want any regrets because I was too busy working or doing what have you. So I think it's been a year of trying to figure out how to create a business around prioritizing my personal life really over my work life, how to rejig things. Unfortunately, I'm self-employed and I'm not married to a multimillionaire. So it is quite difficult to be able to pull gaps when you run your own business. You have to be kind of hustling and working all the time. If you don't work, you don't get paid. So it's been quite a journey for me of pulling myself together. And I found it very difficult. It's been frustrating. I've been a lot of the year doing photography stuff, which I'm wanting to shift out of. And it's been frustrating sitting and thinking, what, I'd like to be doing more coaching. And the photography has been the main source of income. So there's been that frustration to sit with. And I got to October and really was kind of fell over the ennui cliff. And I realized I really need to take a break. I've been working solidly for 2 decades and I'm tired. And I decided to take 6 weeks off from the beginning of December, which has been very freeing and absolutely terrifying because I've had to come face to face with my fears about earning money, not being able to earn money, taking, the whole belief system I've had set up of if I don't work, I don't get paid. And also prioritizing myself in that I needed a gap and I needed to have a rest and I needed to stop for a while, which I'm very pleased to say I have done, but it hasn't been the easiest thing to do. But I think the importance of taking a rest and taking a break, it allows for a vacuum really to occur for new things and new insights to come through, new things to come in. And we can't be creative when we're constantly outputting all the time. It's very difficult. If you've listened to previous podcast episodes, I've talked a lot about burnout. And I knew in October, when I decided I was going to take a big break in December, that I was getting to the brink of being burnt out. And having had a full episode of burnout, I don't want to go there again. And it's just starting to prioritize other things other than work. I'm a photographer and I'm a coach. It is not stuff that other people's lives depend on. It's okay for me to take a break. And it's been sitting with that's been quite hard. I've planned for that in case anyone's listening and thinking, oh, that's really great. Maybe your not multi-millionaire husband is supporting you. He's not. I've had to put savings in place and to work very hard to get to the point where I've been able to take a break. But it took some planning and I've done it. And it has been a real game changer for me. And I wanted to share this with you because I think there's a couple of things that I'd like to impart here in that. It's okay if you decide you don't love what you do anymore. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to have a career change. It's okay to have a new direction. It's okay to have a period of time where you are not achieving external measures of success. And again, I've had to sit with that and kind of allow myself to be okay with that. 2023, given everything I've shared with you, where I've been going on a personal journey with this, has been the most non-achieving year, I think, of my working life to date. I have achieved pretty much nothing in terms of hitting financial goals. I didn't set any because I knew this was going to be a year of evolution and incubating and change. So I didn't set myself up to fail. My business hasn't really grown, and there's been very little external measures of success happening for me. However, internally, I have shifted more in the last year than I have in the last decade. So I have completed the Martha Beck Wayfinder Life Coach certification, which that was a 9-month journey of introspection, lots of coaching, lots of being coached. And that's really helped me to expand and grow. I have done 3 big plant medicine journeys, which I'm going to be talking more about on a podcast. Episode 14, I talk about microdosing with plant medicine, which is super powerful. I'm going to be sharing in an upcoming episode about macrodosing with it and what it's done for me in terms of being able to help me reconnect to myself and where I want to go and my kind of place as a human on this earth. And it has been a year of sort of following my heart, if you like. We went to Mozambique twice to swim with humpback whales because I really wanted to do it. And I kind of sat with it and thought, oh, maybe I can go next year. But bearing in mind, I had that thought before and I didn't see my family for 3 years, not wanting to be really fatalistic about it. But the time to make changes and to do the things that light you up is now. We spend so much time putting things off, assuming we'll get to it. And often I think we go year after year after year, not really achieving goals or making any progress because we think we have loads of time to do stuff. And we don't always. So what I'd like to encourage you to do is, if you are feeling called to do something different, if you are feeling a bit unsatisfied with where you're at and you would like to make a change, but you're afraid to, take the first step. Be brave. It takes great courage to start to implement changes in life. And as we start a new year, I wanted to share with you the 4 questions I have worked through myself, and I would invite you to sit with as well, to really help you set yourself up so you're in a position where this time next year, you aren't sitting thinking, oh, I haven't achieved any goals, I haven't moved, I'm still stuck, nothing's really changed. When you want more, you want bigger things, you want different things. So question number 1 to reflect on from the previous year is, what went well? So what went well in 2023 for you? What goals did you reach? If you set, I'm assuming you've set some goals if you didn't, but what goals did you reach? What were your wins? What did you learn? And what made you happy? This is a very important question to ask yourself. What made you happy? And to be able to reflect on what went well is very powerful. Especially, I'm talking, and if I was to not be framing this up in a learning kind of setup from what my 2023 was like, it was a pretty shit year if we were looking at goal achievement and external things. But I can tell you what went well. Lots of things went really, really well. I had really quality time with my family. I had quality time with the engineer. I had quality time with some humpback whales, which was exhilarating and absolutely terrifying all at the same time, much like taking 6 weeks off. It's been, I've journeyed on my coaching and learning journey. I've connected with some plant medicine, absolute magic inspiration. So there have been a lot of wins for me. The second question is to ask yourself, what didn't happen that you had hoped for in 2023? So if you set goals, what goals did you miss? What went wrong? What broke in your life? What changed that you didn't ask for or you didn't expect? Where did you fail or where did you fall apart? And it's important to have a look at these things as well, write them down, and then you can have a look and ask yourself, what were the learnings for me from this thing that happened? How did I overcome? How did this help me build confidence? How did this help me? Often, if we get stuck when something doesn't happen or we fail, we can get stuck in beating ourselves up and we can get stuck in being very negative. And there is always an opportunity to learn when something fails. I'm using air quotes. You can't see me, but I'm using air quotes because failure is all relative. But it's really good to reflect on what didn't work. The third question is to ask yourself, where do I want to be at the end of 2024? So in 12 months' time, what do I want to be happening in my life? So if you can fast forward in your mind and imagine yourself sitting at the end of 2024, how would you like to be feeling? What would you have liked to have done or seen or experienced? What goals would you like to have achieved? Who are you with? What are you doing? What's happened that has made this a really great year for you? Visualizing success is super powerful. And then we can start to take action towards that visualization. It's not quite enough to sit and imagine it. We have to imagine and then start to look at, which leads me to the next question. What do I need to do differently in order to achieve my 2024 goals? So this is where those action steps come in. To get a different result, you have to take different action. So what different action will you take to bring your goals and dreams to life in the next year, so that in 12 months' time, you can be where you envision yourself to be? Where are you going to make a bold move in your life? How do you need to show up differently? Where do you need to be really brave? And what areas of life do you need to create change? And you can make a list of those. And then once you've got a list of those, you can start to have a look at, okay, what tiny action steps can I take to start to move me towards these goals, these changes, and these adjustments that I want to be making? And I create a yearly vision board to help me stay on track with my goals. I have actually set some this year, unlike last year that I was just like, this is going to be a year of self-discovery. I'm just going to roll with it and see how many times I can go swim with humpback whales. So this year I have got some goals happening. I feel like after my year of ennui, I've been able to pull myself towards myself and realign with some determination and some direction. So a vision board's a really powerful way to do that. I'm going to share a picture of it on my Instagram and TikTok. So they're both at Emma O'Brien Coach. So you can hop over and go and have a look. And these are really useful to help you keep in mind where you're going. You know, if we have big goals, it can be quite difficult to remember to keep taking action towards them. And I'll invite you to go and have a listen back to some of the previous podcasts. There was one with Laura Mickler where we talked about why not. And that was a really great podcast episode about meeting, setting, and achieving goals. So go back and have a listen to that. But a vision board is super powerful. Put it somewhere where you can see it and be reminded of why you are getting up each day to go and do the things you are doing in order to move you closer to your goals. So I hope this was helpful. I'll remind you of the 4 questions if you want to jot them down. What went well in 2023? What didn't happen that you hoped for in 2023? Where do you want to be at the end of 2024? And what do you need to do differently in order to achieve your 2024 goals? Now, it can be quite difficult to implement changes. It can be quite difficult, especially if you're making big changes, to do it alone. So this is where having a coach like me is really, really helpful. So if you are curious about making changes and talking to me about how I might help you with that and how that might look, please use the link below to book a inquiry call with me, and we can chat about where you want to go and what it might look like to get you there. There's a lovely African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I am here to help you with that. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, please share with your friends and be sure to leave me a 5-star rating and review, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. To find out more about my one-on-one coaching, please visit my website, which is emmaobriencoach.com. And remember, folks, when life gives you lemons, you can always choose another fruit. See you next time.